Welcome, everyone, to the Minions of the Zoo Tuesday edition. I'm your keeper, Skep Tock, and with me I have Minions Prospero,
Hello.
Blind Press,
Hello.
Geodz,
Hello.
Jenna,
Hey,
and the Harry Channel.
Hola, chicas.
It's getting the start on the Spanish. Solid idea,
See,
solid strategy, and
what's
You
your
know-
name? Sai. Do you have a
It-
sister, Sue? Sorry.
this week has reminded me of an old Kingston trio song that goes roughly: they're rioting in Africa, they're starving in Spain. Uh, yeah, there's hurricanes in Florida, and Texas needs rain. Uh, and it goes on just talking about all the troubles in the world, and I feel like that's kind of where we are politically and culturally in I was going to say the United States, but uh, Prospero in the pre-show used the term Anglosphere, and she's right. What it's enough to just make you despair at times about how silly and self-destructive uh, what is happening both to our political systems and to our culture. Uh, the seeing AOC in that dress that should have said "axe the bitch" instead of "tax the rich" was that was disgusting.
First
It
of
really
all-
it truly was a let them eat cake moment.
I'm sorry, any dress that has writing on it is tacky as fuck. I don't care what the message is. First
That's
of all, dresses with writing on them, ew. But second of all, tax the rich, really?
Yeah.
written
Like-
in blood red.
Oh god.
Yeah, she's got all the class of a Harley whore.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I should go around and greet my guests, which is my custom, and I'll start with Prospero. Prospero, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty well.
You haven't taken your cyanide capsule yet.
No,
Keep it handy.
I kind of figure that I'll be gone before the actual return of the Dark Ages it occurs.
Yeah,
Although on the acceleration curve we appear to be on. I'm getting a little worried about that part.
yeah.
Yeah, I hate that I have almost developed this, well, it's not going to be my problem attitude about some of this stuff.
It's an easy place to go, though, isn't it?
Well, it's very, very much so. And
Yeah.
so I'm currently failing the lifeboat exercise. 'Cause it's like I get the lifeboat and the rest of you get to drown.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's it. This I'm cynical anyway, and
Yeah,
even
sad.
I'm amazed at the degree of heartlessness that I'm seeing.
Yeah. It's sad when drowning looks like the good alternative.
Yeah, in
So-
cold water in particular, it's
Yeah, absolutely.
pretty
It's-
peaceful.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. I mean, it's just that's kind of how I'm doing. I'm not really. To some extent, I think that's all happening over there. It's
Yeah.
not happening in my yard.
Yeah.
So I the only thing I can do is just almost stand and watch.
Do the NIMBY fantasy still. The
It is-
thing about NIMBY is it has an extra Y for the word yet
Yeah,
at the end of it. So
absolutely.
that's a problem. Blind Press, it's nice to have you with us. Just when the United States is saying nobody can out crazy us, Canada says, "Hold my Molson."
Yeah, it's bad, and
How are you guys holding up there?
Oh, it's frustrating.
Yeah,
Once we do all the greetings and stuff, I'm sure we if you want.
Oh yeah, I
can-
want to delve in deeper into some of the lunacy that you're getting to witness up there, if you wouldn't mind leading us
I would
through
not
that
mind at all.
extraordinary wilderness. Geodz, how you doing tonight, bud?
I am good. Basically it's just been a slightly busier day than normal. I had a cavity filling done, so I'm a little
that
numb.
sucks.
But yeah,
You know,
I'm
there's
on-
a joke. There's a joke in there about a Geodz getting a cavity filled,
Mhm,
but I
mhm.
couldn't get it. I couldn't get it hammered together in time.
Oh,
Yes.
So
God.
I decided to go meta and make a joke about the joke. So
There you go.
it's
Yeah. Yeah, no,
marginal-
I'm on
marginal
ibuprofen.
humor here.
Yeah.
You're on ibuprofen.
Yes.
Nothing stronger.
No, I don't need anything too strong. So.
Yeah.
So he's comfortably numb.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Comfortably numb. And great album.
Very.
Mhm.
Jenna, how are you doing this evening, hon?
And alive.
Yeah.
Oh, alive is good.
What?
My cough turned into pneumonia as usual, but
Oh
I'll live.
no.
Are you on antibiotics?
Yes, the things that kill her.
I'm on John's on his way home.
Okay.
I got John out, not James, so
Oh well. That's what you get for having pneumonia so much.
That's right. Harry, how are you doing this evening?
I was better until I started looking at the election returns.
So
It's a slaughter.
it's as bad as I was predicting, isn't it?
It's probably worse than you predicted, with 56% reporting the no's, which basically means to keep Gavin Newsom, are 67.8%.
Good Lord.
that
Yes.
can't be right.
It's at 60% expected vote in according to the article for this, but I'm not. That was
Is this the
11:30.
voter turnout?
Yeah, this basically it means it was a party line vote. Big,
Yeah.
ginormous surprise.
Okay.
And one of the parties really turned out, and the other one didn't turn out. It looked like too.
You mean based
Yeah.
on the thing I sent you earlier today?
Yeah, exactly. From what you sent me, it looked
There
like
wasn't- There wasn't that much of a difference. I mean, they were all sort of in the 50-something percent range, as I recall. But
yeah.
yeah,
Still
the
pretty low.
the people who did not turn out were was the Latin, Mexican American, whatever we're calling these people
Latinx.
today. Latinx vote. The Latinx vote was pretty meager, at around
Yeah.
24%.
Yeah, I think that's what I was remembering was that that seemed like that was pathetic, and
Yeah.
so California is going to remain pathetic. It's going to continue to peel its skin off a chunk at a time, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that after we delve into the mysteries of the Great White North. But I watched Viva Fry and
Maxime Barnier?
Bernier with Lauren Chen the other day, and you have good people up there, you have smart people up there. Why can't they run your government?
Because the problem is that Maxime, first of all, was a party bouncer. So those of us that actually know our politics are like,
So when people got drunk, he threw people out of
no.
parties.
When people who know their politics and have been paying attention to politics for over 20 years know that Maxime Vernier was a liberal, Maxime Vernier was a conservative, and Maxime Vernier was a Bloc Québécois.
He was?
Oh yeah. So now that he has a PPC party, a People's, which has the worst name ever, People's Party of Canada.
Yeah.
Worst name ever. Not the name, not what you want to invoke.
It narrowly beat out Open Weeping Sore.
I honestly, it's at least it's not as laughable as the Canadian Reform Alliance Party. I'll let you figure out the acronym for yourself.
Can you say it again?
Canadian Reform Alliance Party. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Better than the Canadian United National Trust.
Just by a hair. So.
But
Ba-doom.
anyway, it's hard to figure out where Bernier really stands because he kind of went where it was expedient. Do you know what I mean?
That makes me sad because I was
And-
having hope for your country.
But that's the thing, like, and they don't. Their plan, their platform. They're such a new party that any government they would win would be a
Combo.
very small minority. Very there's a functional minority government, and then this would basically be a hamstrung, do nothing government.
Mm.
And some of their platform, they, for instance, feel that there should be no federal transfers at all to the provinces for healthcare. So right now, the provinces do have the brunt of the healthcare system, but there is a federal assistance, right, to help them, and that's called a healthcare transfer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of their platform is that they would end that, so that the entire brunt of the public healthcare system would suddenly be entirely on the provinces. And that's never how it's been.
All right.
From its inception. That's never how it's...
Now,
that was
I
not
have
how it was meant
I've
to
heard
be.
people say that the national health care in Canada is all administered by the provinces. Is that not true?
So it is administered by the provinces, but they do get subsidy, like partial, not a complete subsidy, obviously. The majority of the funding comes from provincial spending, and like a provincial, like our tax, like we pay into it, right, with our taxes. But there is a subsidy from the federal government that does help bolster the provincial coffers for healthcare.
Okay.
And one of the things that the PPC wants to do is stop that. And that's not a good idea. The healthcare system in Canada was started, designed by a guy named Lester B. Pearson. And as much as Jagmeet Singh of the NDP would love to say that the NDP created today's healthcare system, he's full of absolute shit. It was
Okay.
Lester B. Pearson that did that in the 60s.
Alrighty then.
There's the PPC is a little bit too reactionary. For my taste anyway, in my opinion. I feel that their platform is based on emotional reaction to what's happening, and I get it because it's really fucking frustrating. And
Wouldn't they be better than Dancing Boy?
they would make the problem is they would risk pushing us too far the other way. That's the problem.
Okay, that still seems like a manageable problem. I mean, you guys really have a serious political
We do.
problem.
We do, because and the other problem is that Maxine didn't get a chance to change any impressions. And because he wasn't invited to any of the debates.
Oh,
Yet-
I remember
yet
talking
his
with you about
party-
that on your stream.
Yeah, yet his party's on the ballot.
Yeah.
So people still have a choice to vote for him, but he wasn't invited to any.
He hasn't
of
had the
debates.
exposure.
So he wasn't, and this happened last time in 2019 as well. I think he was only invited to 1 out of the 3 debates, and this time he was invited to none of them.
Interesting.
And the problem is the really big problem is right now is that the PPC might be a good party eventually,
Hmm.
but they're so like they are literally they're not even 10 years old. They're not even 5 years. I think they're barely 5 years old.
But it seems like they should be judged based on
They're not
the positions that they hold rather than how long they've been in business.
Well,
Or is that just a cultural thing?
That's for me. It's that they haven't had the chance to even get themselves established as a party, and now they want to try to run for leading the country.
Okay, so no track record. That's what
Yeah.
you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. And
Okay.
they should. What they should be interested in doing right now is hoping that the conservatives can get in and do coalition work with them. That would be the smartest thing for the People's Party of Canada to do right now. Because that would give them more seats in the House of Commons, and if they did coalition work with a minority conservative government, they would also get more of a track record and learn how to make actual policy, because right now their policy is very, like, you can tell that it's based on an emotional reaction to what's happening. And like I said, I get it. I get how upset a lot of people are, because I'm upset, right?
I'm upset and I'm not even Canadian.
But the thing is that you can't make policy based on that. And a lot of their stuff just doesn't hold up. Like it doesn't make any more sense than the NDP's stuff does. And I don't think it's based on the malice that the NDP's is. I just think it's based on inexperience.
Oh, okay.
That's
then,
what I think.
Then what are you going to do?
Honestly, the best thing that can happen right now, and I say that with like air quotes,
Yeah. Is asteroid or?
is that the Conservatives get a minority government and somehow they convince the People's Party of Canada to work with them.
So, your miracle.
Because otherwise, we're either going to get Justin again or Jagmeet. And if we get Jagmeet,
You guys are.
I don't know what the fuck we're going to do.
You guys are.
Because Jagmeet...
Wait, so he's worse than Justine?
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
He looks at Justine and goes, hold my beer and my weed, and let me show you how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just
fucking...
awful.
He's evil. He's... This
He,
man...
he truly wants to destroy Canada. I truly do believe that.
I watched part of his unveiling. He was in a press conference talking. They finally released the costing of their platform. You know, on Saturday, 12 days before the election, the vote. That's when they released their like the details of their platform the week that Justin called the election, right? But it took them until September 11th to actually tell us how much all of it was going to fucking cost. And thank God, even the mainstream media was like, don't you think that was a bad move? You keep saying that you want voters to be informed, but you haven't given them all the details for your party. Don't you think that was a bad idea? And he's like, all he could say was, "Oh yes, this is a very this is more details." Yeah, he was basically going, "Yes, you're right. This is more details," and that's it. Like he wasn't answering any questions. He says he keeps saying, "This our platform is not going to be carried on the backs of the people. It will be we're going to make the wealthy pay their fair share." So the wealthy aren't people.
Yeah.
Under Mr. Singh, and take note here, Mr. Singh his net worth is $3 million. He means billionaires. Okay, he doesn't mean millionaires.
Hypocrite.
Okay, so billionaires aren't people, and he also wants to tax businesses and companies who profited during the pandemic, because that's a bad thing. And his example was Amazon, and I'm like, okay, so governments forced people to stay home, therefore forcing them to use Amazon, and now you want to punish Amazon because people had to use them and they made money.
Yes.
But I guess that begs the question too. If you have companies that, like maybe necessarily like Canadian companies, that then were to back his run, I guess the question is, would he be more lenient towards them? I guess
Right.
would be the question. Yeah.
And like people like are people like Pincalo or self-employed truck drivers, are they profiteering from, because he actually used that word, that they were profiteering.
Profiteering.
Yeah,
Really?
that these companies made out like bandits.
So he
during
doesn't
the
know what
pandemic.
profiteering means.
No, he does not.
Most leftists don't.
Yeah, no kidding.
And
You're exactly right. They equate it with profits, Prospero. You're
Yeah.
exactly right.
I noticed it during the pandemic with all this. They're profiteering, and it's like, what? They're making a buck.
So, and then it came out that his platform would cost something in the range of, I think the reporter said $214 billion for over 5 years.
Ooh, cool.
For Canada,
Which is
Canada
even
can't
more,
Canada
which is
can't
even
afford
more
that.
than Trudeau, by the way. That beats out Trudeau's current budget, or the one that he's laying out in this election, and like I think by a margin of like twice.
What is? Let me look this real quick.
That's impressive.
And like, as for getting the leaders all in one place, oh my God. I don't know if you guys had a chance to like watch my stream on like 2 times or whatever, but like it was an embarrassment. It was like Pink Hollow said on Twitter afterwards. It was like an episode of The View.
How much? Well, how many billions was it?
I think it was something like $214 billion or something like that.
So call it $250 billion. Your entire gross domestic product, or gross national product, I'm sorry, is about $2 trillion.
Oh, but he doesn't care about shit like that.
I mean,
Obviously.
where's the money going to come from?
Okay, so do you guys remember Trudeau's famous quote, the budget will balance itself? Yeah, he, without actually saying those words on in the press conference, he basically said the budget will balance itself if I'm in.
It's like these people.
Oh, so like Biden said about inflation will resolve itself.
Yeah.
It's like these people think it's okay if I devalue the currency, as long as the currency is mostly held by rich people who we want to destroy. The problem is when you destroy rich people, and first of all, you don't. What you do is you chase them away. And what you end up doing is you destroy the playpen where they exchanged all their money back and forth really fast, so that lots of people got to have pieces of lots of profitable transactions that create wealth in an economy that it's the miraculous invisible hand that drives national economies. With $2 trillion of production per annum, you're talking about swinging $250 billion budgeting for anything it's irresponsible even to talk about it.
Yeah. And he's flippant about it.
What an asshole.
And when you the whole debate last Thursday was a sham. Like the moderator was not a moderator. It was literally like I said on stream, I'm like, I Trippy, I love you, but this is like watching a cunt stream. It really was. It was like watching a political version of the cunt stream.
Really?
It was that bad. I drank 3/4 of a bottle of Mickey of rum. It was that bad.
Okay. It's an interesting way to measure how bad it was, but
bad.
It was the I don't care about the headache.
Yeah.
I don't think I was smart enough to drink water and have like toast and stuff after before I went to bed.
I have my normal Mormon question. What's a Mickey of rum?
So a Mickey is like a small bottle. It's I don't know how many ounces it is.
About the size of what?
Like the airline bottles?
No, bigger than that. The airline bottles are small.
Yeah, those are splits.
It's got. I'm not sure how many ounces it is.
It's 300. It's 375 milliliters.
Yeah,
so it's actually like a fifth.
Okay, yeah.
So like what we call a fifth.
A fifth. Yeah, it's called a fifth down in the States.
Fifth of rum?
Yeah.
God
Wow.
damn, girl.
3/4 of a
I'm
fifth of rum.
impressed.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
And I didn't
Pint and a
have
half.
I
Jesus.
didn't have a shot glass, so I was just like, I think this is a couple of shots. Here, let me add some orange juice. Okay, I'm good.
After a while, it's like, okay.
I had a joke I wanted to say, but I don't want I don't think it would insult BP, but I don't want YouTube to be like, they're blind phobic.
Oh, but she drank herself blind.
Yeah.
And then frickin' and then this
I love this
insanity. I didn't think it was. I honestly, I knew that, some of my family are a bit politically crazy.
You think?
But
You didn't know the
Frickin'
country was as
I
nuts
didn't-
as your family, huh?
no, my frickin' Pinkolo's frickin' sister and her husband. I took them off my Facebook on Saturday because I wrote a post on my Facebook saying, it's really hard to pick who to vote for because I feel like as a disabled person, I feel very underrepresented. You look at the statistics, the federal statistics, and 22% of Canadians are disabled in some way.
How? What's
And-
the percentage again?
22. So there's
That's what I thought you said. Are you
That's-
kidding me?
that's the survey on disability. So they're including like mental disability, physical disability. Like they're including
being members of the Liberal
Everybody.
Party.
Let me ask you
must
this.
count.
What percentage of those people, of that 22%, what percentage
are
of them
physically disabled.
are getting money from the government to help them with their disability?
Probably not that many.
Okay. So this is just people's. This is their view of themselves.
Yeah.
It's not really a survey of how many people are on disability, as we would say in the States.
That would be a provincial survey. Also.
Okay.
Because there's no.
Oh, that's
federal
right. Because
disability
everything is done by the province. Okay.
But I said, none of the federal parties have mentioned any disability issues, because there are plenty at the federal level. Nobody in any party has mentioned disabled people in their platform in this election. And if the heads of if the leadership can't even talk about disabled people, how do I know that the members of parliament in the parties are gonna give a shit about their disabled constituents? And I was like, it's all about diversity, inclusion, unless you're disabled, and then fuck you, I guess.
Then you're invisible.
And these two happy idiots who haven't spoken to either Pincalo and I in 2 fucking years, and they decided to this is how they're gonna fucking start shit. So first the husband pops on and goes, "Didn't the Liberals take care of your ass during COVID?"
What?
And I'm like, sure. If you call $1,200 spread out over 18 months taken care of, yeah, they really, really carried us.
$60 a month.
And then I said something about, I do know that I'm lucky because I have an able-bodied, spouse who's self-employed. But that doesn't mean we don't struggle, and that I'm perfectly allowed to voice my frustration with the lack of representation. And he's like, well, there's plenty of jobs for disabled people. You just have to get off your ass and find one. So I fucking took him off. I took him off my Facebook, and then Pincalo's sister pops in and was like, something like, because I used disability, the provincial disability as an example, because she was temporarily disabled for like a couple years, and had she and her husband not been well and gainfully employed, she would have had to use the disability system because they wouldn't have had the benefits to reimburse her for everything that she needed to get. Right? So she would have had to use the provincial disability system. And then she wouldn't be shitting all over me and thinking that it's a bonanza. Because that's how they were acting. And that's how everyone acts when disabled people try to hold their government to account, like, anyone is allowed to. Any voting person is allowed to hold their government to account. But apparently, when a disabled person does it, they're just looking for more freebies.
Jesus.
And it's like, freaking, and so she tells me, she tells me to put down the pot and start lobbying and using my voice for real, not on YouTube.
Because that's
Did she explain how that's going? Yes, exactly.
So I took her off my Facebook too.
Oh, so, unlike her on Facebook, where you really get noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus.
What if she think you should go out with one of those blowhorns or whatever they're called, megaphones?
No, they have no clue, and they don't care to know.
Get on Parlor. You really have some reach there. Jesus. Okay, so anyway, so there's lots of unrealistic, strange shit going on in Canada. One of the questions I wanted to ask you was, when is the next time Dancing Boy has to have an election?
Okay, so if he wins this election,
The snap election that he's called.
Yeah.
Justine won it.
If he wins. It's because voting day is next Monday.
Okay.
So if he wins, I do not think he will win a majority government. If he wins a majority government, then we have to wait another 5 years. Unless there's a no.
If he doesn't get a majority government, then what happens?
If he gets a minority government, they tend not to last the full cycle. It's normal for them not to.
It won't last 5 years because
I do not think it will last. I don't even think
people will
last
get cross
2.
at each other. Bribes won't last, and feelings will get hurt.
He'll
and
run out of people to put on his cabinet.
You'll have a no. Do you have no confidence votes?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And the budget is a budget vote is a confidence vote. When you when a sitting cabinet comes out and goes, okay, this is our budget. Everybody vote on it. If it doesn't pass,
that's a vote of no confidence. And so a vote of no confidence signifies what?
That means
trying to
that the governor general will usually say, okay, vote of no confidence, you guys need to go to the polls.
So that calls for an election.
Yeah.
So I guess the other question is, even if they're a minority party, I might be getting this wrong, but my understanding is that they can also do coalitions with other parties like
yes.
Yeah.
However, there is enough that everybody disagrees on right now that even parties that would normally do a coalition, like the Liberals have done a coalition with the NDP before.
Mm-hmm.
The Liberals have also done a coalition with the Conservatives before. That was weird.
Now it's a full general election, so there are parliamentary seats up on Monday.
Yeah.
As well as which party will, based on that, will determine which party leads the government.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if the PPC picks up any seats in Parliament.
I'm worried that they will split the Conservative vote enough that Trudeau's going to win. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that ship sailed. They're running, and maybe they'll only pick up a seat or two, and it won't be that, but it could just be a seat or two that would make the difference, considering you have about 870 parties running now.
Yeah, they're turning into Italy. That's the thing that
the
I'm
greens and the really greens and the only slightly greens.
I had Pinkalo and I had the advanced polling was open, I think Sunday and Monday, or Saturday, Sunday and Monday, and usually we would have gone, but we were both like, I don't know who to vote for. I don't know who to vote for. Like, I have never been an undecided voter.
Oh.
Ooh, a fan. Hello, fan.
Yeah, it's a bit loud.
It's going away. Oh, it's slowly going away. Sort of. Weird.
It is weird.
What's that
Is that
noise?
a laptop fan?
Skep's
That's
so
a fan.
angry he fired up the wood chipper.
God damn it!
Yeah.
All you idiots in the chipper.
But it's I've never, in every election that I voted in since I was 18, federal or provincial, I've been like, I'm voting for this person because of this reason.
Mm-hmm.
And this time I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, welcome to living long enough. That's
Yes.
It's unfortunately one of the consequences where it will become more frequent now. You've gone through the glory of knowing who you were going to vote for and it being a positive vote, not a negative vote.
Yeah.
And now you're reaching the who do I hold my nose and pull the lever for? That awful feeling that it's a Hobson's choice.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing it really isn't, but you're trying to make the least worst mistake you
I feel
can
like
make.
I'm making a Schrodinger's cat decision. Honestly.
Well, yeah, that's
It's funny. You think about it. It was 1994. I remember I was on a consulting gig in fact in Silicon Valley, and I was watching the election returns come in, and Dan Rather was weeping on national TV. That was the big kick in the teeth to I guess the Clinton administration.
the
The
midterms.
the midterms, the first midterms when they took back
Promise to America.
Right. Yeah. Newt Gingrich, all that. And, they just said, oh, Rush Limbaugh is going to, dominate the world and, we're screwed. And I remember thinking, yeah, some sanity, some, pride coming back to America. Here we are 27 short years later. And we're handing the country away to foreigners who only care about ripping us to pieces and making this place look like the place they came from.
I misspoke. It was a contract with America.
Yeah,
but 94 midterms. Yeah, those were something else, and it was kind of funny because it was quite a rebuke.
Oh, it was. It absolutely was. It was. I still think it was a reaction to Fleetwood Mac, lame performance
Stop thinking about tomorrow. Like I can't stop thinking about tomorrow.
Was
Speaker of the House.
That was when. I'm sorry.
Was Newt Gingrich Speaker of the House in '94?
No.
That would be awesome.
No, he was. He became Speaker of the House after the '94 midterm.
Yeah, and then the next Congress, he was elected Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
I wasn't old enough to vote or care back then.
No.
I just remember Newt Gingrich and thinking he's cool. I don't know why. I think I liked his name or something.
Yeah, Newt.
Probably.
Yeah.
No,
it's kind of a salamander aspect to it.
Well, I was 12, 13. I was like, his parents were really, really dumb. They named him Newt.
His mom's a laugh riot, actually. Newt's mom is hilarious.
Oh, yeah. She's
apparently.
She's hilarious.
Absolute tip of a broad.
You know what would be hilarious is if Trudeau lost his seat.
Yes.
Specifically his,
wouldn't it, though?
That
would be so glorious.
Please, Lord, I don't ask for a lot.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I think I would weep with joy.
One small miracle.
You could use my TikTok to celebrate it.
I'll be back tomorrow. It'll be fine. It's the
15th tomorrow. I thought for some reason it was like the 3rd.
It's just 24 hours. It's not a big. It's more of an annoyance that I got called the bully. It's like, really?
I just think that's that's so typical of how the shoe is on the wrong ear these days. Things are just a little bit nutty, and they really don't make a lot of sense to me.
You say the shoe is on the wrong ear. I actually remembered putting Mr. Potato Head's feet on his ears one time.
Yes, indeed. You can do some very unusual things with Mr. Potato Head. I've spent a lot of time with Mr. Potato Head over the years. And Mr. Potato Head's been around for a long time.
Yep.
Mr. Potato Head in my house will always be a Mr. He has a Mrs. And they're not non-binary.
Nope.
I heard he was genderless now. I thought he had no gender.
He's a potato head.
Spud gender.
Well, No,
Split gender.
it's Mr.
Tater
Potato Head.
gender.
Geo's changing his avatar. I can't wait.
Interesting thing about Mr. Potato Head, it was actually the first toy ever advertised on television.
Really?
Yeah, it's a true story.
That's cool.
And, he's also the same age as I am. He was born in 1952. I know he was actually the concept was invented in 1949, but he didn't really make his appearance until 1952, and neither did I. So
Oh my God, Skep, are you Mr. Potato Head?
there's that possibility. But no, I'm not from Idaho. I'm from New Mexico. So
Thank you so much, Harry, for your image of Norm as Bert.
Turd Ferguson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Turd Ferguson.
Yeah,
I
it's funny.
appreciate
It's a funny
Elmo
name.
Vernon.
I've always wanted to shake the hand of whoever came up with the notion of electrocuting kids when they bump the side of a game, when they're trying to remove a plastic organ. I mean, seriously, Operation.
Yeah, right. I was trying to think of what was
Does
the
it
name of that. I
actually
remember
zap
that.
You?
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought it just buzzed at you.
It buzzes,
just-
but it
It
creates a
buzzes and it gives
vibration.
you-
But
Yeah,
it
it
can zap you.
vibrates. It doesn't actually send
Tingles.
electricity. You don't draw electricity.
That's
There's
funny.
no
You can if
exchange
it's
of
dry,
energy.
very, very dry in the house. It's
static
not-
electricity, but I'm talking about
Yeah.
dynamic current from
No,
a
no.
battery or anything. It's not like that.
But in New England, on a carpeted rug, playing that game
Oh yeah.
can lead to a great deal of, kind of. It's,
Mhm.
But I just always wanted to turn the juice up on it.
Yeah.
Just
Well, yeah,
Why
I have
not?
A group of now 13-year-olds, but when I only had 3 of them, they would dare each other to lick it.
Oh God.
yeah.
I didn't
And
realize that
you-
Mr. Darwin ran an elementary school.
Well, Darwin's everywhere.
If you licked it, you got $1. We turned out they were actually stealing dollars from their older siblings. It was a big thing.
Oh,
It
my
was
dad.
it was Eric and Bryce. So
Of course it was.
Sounds
My
pretty
dad
cool.
used to try to get me to lick 9-volt batteries and the ends of my note taker adapters.
Oh, nice.
He'd
Nothing
be
about
like-
sticking forks in electrical.
He's like, look, see, I'll do it too. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not dumb. You go ahead.
Yeah, you go. You suit
you
yourself.
you go first.
Yeah,
and I'll
I
be
did.
able to tell if you're faking.
Bite
I'm
down on the
lying.
9-volt with your fillings.
Oh no! Stop!
No
Oh
thanks.
God!
I don't have any fillings. But
My
no
AP Bio
thanks.
teacher in high school
What?
used to threaten to turn all the lights off and demonstrate that. He said if you chew foil, he said
Yeah.
he said you know that awful feeling you get when foil hits an amalgam filling, and I'm like, Christ, dude, you don't know. And then he's like, yeah, wait till you have a gold crown. You can make that sucker spark. And it's like, no.
Oh, the sound of that would be awful.
Oh, well, the thing
Electric
is,
potential is a thing.
oh, that sensation though of aluminum on amalgam is
Yeah.
awful.
Yes.
The moment it happens, you just absolutely know what it is because there's no sensation like it. It's like, where is it? Get it?
As somebody who just had cavity treated, I think I've had my filling of this conversation.
Yes. All right then.
Yeah,
Boo-hoo,
to the
newbie.
corner.
Well done, sir.
And after chat, I'll terrify you with my tales of dental adventure.
I went to get a tooth filled, but they said you need teeth.
You know, after everything that's happened in Canada, all the nonsense and insanity and watching that beautiful country tear itself to pieces, Norm Macdonald has to go and die.
Yeah, that was really sad. Like, I didn't even know he was sick.
No one knew. dear.
Yeah, I understand that they kept it pretty private.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You'd even said, his private battle with cancer.
Decade long.
He was
Yeah.
looking pretty old for his age, I have to say. On more than a few occasions, I was kind of wondering what was going on.
What he looked like, you know. Unfortunately, I have way too much experience with this. He looked like a guy who was undergoing steroid
Yeah,
treatment.
his face would puff up.
In the your whole body just
Yeah,
enlarges.
with that moon face, and then he wouldn't have the moon face, and I you attribute it to all kinds of things. You look and say, well, he's looking a little puffy. I never really thought about his health because I thought, given his comedy had a careworn feel to it.
It always did.
So it kind of matched.
Yeah. He was the best death in Family Guy. He was awesome. He voiced death every time. Like, it was him and then it was Adam Carolla, but Norm Macdonald did death.
Two of my favorite comedians.
And I thought he was. I thought he was funny.
Yeah.
On Weekend Update.
Oh, he was.
I thought the OJ jokes were a scream.
All the time. Oh man,
I love the OJ jokes.
Oh, they were great.
No.
I mean, the cynicism. It's funny because they kind of went from goofy on Weekend Update to Dennis Miller and the Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
Cynical people, just which really suited me. The rest of the cast, in some cases, but I'd be like, that's still quality Weekend Update. Much better than Chevy Chase.
After
Chevy
the,
Chase sucks.
After the guy whose wife offed him,
Phil Hartman.
Phil
Hartman, yeah, he was a talented guy.
Oh yeah,
the talent level really, kind of was pretty variable, I think.
Well, like Dennis Miller and Norm Macdonald in many ways were too smart for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Dennis Miller that's part of the problem that people have with him. People go, I don't like his comedy. And it's like, yeah, you probably aren't getting it.
Yeah, it's exactly.
You're not getting it. It's just,
when you
have trouble with Lewis Black too? Because if you do, I think I see a trend.
Lewis Black is hilarious.
Oh, he was
but those guys, when you watch them, it's a very intense experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
You really lock in with these guys, and it always feels like there's a whole bunch of things going on at the same time.
Yes.
With me.
Well, the very, very quick mind
Yeah.
in comedy. Robin Williams.
There's a difference between quickness and frenetic.
Yeah, his personality disorders
Mm-hmm.
factored in his comedy being a little bit more approachable. Jonathan Winters was somebody that a lot of people had trouble understanding. In the younger generation, my parents seemed to get it, but I know friends of mine didn't. With somebody like Winters.
I used to hope we were related.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say a very peculiar man. But so was James.
It's been
Thurber.
said about me.
So was James Thurber. So
yes, James Thurber was the most peculiar man.
But people with just slightly off sequence.
Yeah.
Views of the world.
Yeah.
So there's always a bit of fuzziness around the edge that it doesn't completely resolve.
Yeah.
Which I think creates a tension in the comedy, which makes it even funnier.
But Norm Macdonald brightened the world for a long time, and I'm just grateful for the contribution that he made.
He could wreck a heckler better than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's the deal about Norm. Norm was, there's different kinds of comedians, right? I mean, there's comedians that are crowd pleasers, and then there are comedians like Norm who was objectively funny, but he was really a comedian's comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you talk to a bunch of comedians and say, who do you think is funny? He's usually on their short list.
Yes.
And it's
yes.
not just because he's funny, but because he's absolutely fearless.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story. I sent Skep a link to a channel that just does themed compendiums of Norm Macdonald clips called I'm Not Norm, which is a great channel on YouTube for all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And there's a story that
The
they
OJ
told when they were
compendium is amazing.
well, when they were interviewing other comedians talking about Norm Macdonald, Norm one time was on with these 4 other comedians for this show, and they'd all talked in the green room, and Norm knew what the other people were going to do, so he basically went out first, did everybody's act, all of their jokes, and then walked off the stage.
Asshole.
He did it just because he thought it would be funny to watch them just sort of sit and spin, just try to deal with it. And this is the kind of shit that Norm would do. He was absolutely fearless. I mean, there's sort of Andy Kaufman fearless. So, but when Andy Kaufman was being fearless, he was being fearless in a persona, whereas Norm, it was a persona, but it was also Norm.
Yeah.
It's a
Dennis
very
Miller
different
pointed
thing.
that out, though. He said there's a little bit of Andy Kaufman in Norm Macdonald.
Well, I think Kaufman was probably more of the wacky, misunderstood genius. Norm Macdonald, definitely smart guy, very, very good comedian, but not just so far out there that he wasn't accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was very accessible if you took the time to kind of like watch more than 5 minutes of it.
He could alter his comedy too, with some subtlety. They're not really rolling with this, so let's drop it down to this level. He didn't indulge his audiences very much.
No. He never coddled an audience ever, but he did. There was in the SNL days before he got fired, what they would do is sort of on a Tuesday, the guest star and the writers and everything would all get together, and they would start trying to pitch ideas for sketches, right? So you'd pitch this thing and say, I'm going to have these people in with me, and it's going to be a thing about this. And Norm never really pitched a sketch with the intention of it getting on there. He wasn't trying to get his sketches on there. He just thought it was way funnier to just come up with the most ridiculous thing possible.
Yeah.
And just to basically throw the guest star and everybody else kind of off balance a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to kind of mix it up, which is great because a lot of the comedy that you see in a lot of places is just this formulaic, lazy, trope-ridden bullshit, this pablum that they kind of feed people. And with Norm around, you can't get away with that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed Norm's comedy quite a bit, and it's unfortunate that he's gone. It's the probably. I mean, I wasn't expecting Larry Elder to actually become governor, but so I think it's bad news. I mean, the world is not as good a place without Norm Macdonald. And he may have only lived 61 years, but he has achieved immortality.
He will be remembered.
That's more than a lot of us ever will do.
He will be remembered long after AOC has been forgotten.
Yeah, and it's not
And
notoriety.
she'll
It's
still be alive.
actually, he's not notorious. It's easy to be notorious and be remembered. He's actually he's going to be remembered for a very long time.
Everybody knows who Lee Harvey Oswald was. But, he won't
good
be
job.
remembered.
He's not exactly remembered for the greatest of things.
All right, my friends. I need to head to bed.
All right, you want to chill and chill?
I do. It's Wednesdays with Skep tomorrow. Are you going to be available?
I will be available.
All right, awesome. See you guys then for Wednesdays with Skep at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on the Blind Press YouTube channel. And I also will be on Twitch tomorrow night. And if anyone is at all interested, you could, if you want to support the channel, you can go to blindpress.net and leave a tip, which is going anything that comes in is going towards the monitor for the Mac Mini, because I'm not covered for a monitor for some reason.
Yeah.
So I get the
That
Mac,
makes sense.
but I don't get the monitor. So the monitor for the new computer and my actual webcam has bit the dust. So any and all tips are going in towards that. Or if you'd like to buy some merch, you can find that under the link tree on my Twitter in my pinned tweet. So, thank you for having me. And
Always
I
a
will see you
pleasure.
tomorrow, my friend.
And we'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget about the Star Trek
Oh.
stream on
Oh,
Saturday
of course
too.
not.
Geo
and
linked
it's-
you.
Mm-hmm.
Geo put your links in the chat.
Oh, thanks, Geodz.
Thanks.
Also, the Star Trek stream on Saturday is going to be a great topic, and it's brought to us by Ghost Dog. The pros and cons of the Prime Directive. So, yeah, that's
Good
going to
topic.
be good. That's going to be good. Thank you, Ghost Dog, for that.
As long as it
awesome
doesn't stop sexy captains from getting it on with sexy aliens.
Well, yeah,
You know, that's the thing. It's like, well, you know, as
Yeah.
long as I don't interfere with your culture, it's okay.
I'm
Prime
like-
Directive doesn't apply to sex.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
the private little war immediately
Unless you're
came to
Harry
mind.
Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd
Hey.
be-
All right. Well, we'll,
All right.
we'll hit all that stuff up on Saturday. Thanks for being here, Blind
No
Press.
worries,
Go
no
get
worries.
get some sleep. Try not to think about your burning country.
We'll not try to think of ours.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say right back at you, my friend.
Yeah,
You worry
I
about
feel
us,
ya.
we'll worry about you.
I keep trying to figure
I
out
know.
which one of us is the graveyard the other's whistling past.
Right. All right, I'll see you tomorrow, Skep.
See you tomorrow. Good night.
Goodbye, guys.
Night.
Good night.
Well, I have some not too terribly surprising stuff about the California election. If
Would
you're
love
up
to
for it.
hear about it. What do you got?
One of the things that's a little different about a recall election is there are no spending limits. There are no contribution limits. You can do whatever the hell you want in terms of raising money. So Newsom has raised $70 million this year to basically fight this thing.
Good Christ. $70 million?
His contributions... sorry, Jenna?
Oh, I was gonna say contribution people, but I'll let you do it.
Yeah, his contributions have included an early $3 million from Reed Hastings, the chief executive of Netflix, $500,000 from the liberal philanthropist George Soros, $500,000 from the Hollywood producer Jeffrey Katzenberg, Dr. Priscilla Chan, a philanthropist and the wife of Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, contributed $750,000, and the real estate magnate George Marcus gave $1 million. He basically was outraising and outspending Larry Elder about, well, I mean, the Republicans pushing for the recall, first of all, by about 5-1. I mean,
Wow.
It was an absolute slaughter.
Mhm.
And the unions came out in droves, as you might imagine,
Sure.
Of course they did.
because he is basically the California Teachers Association worst nightmare. You know,
Oh,
'cause he
Larry
would go-
Elder? Are you kidding? He would
Yeah.
just take hammer and tong to those guys.
I
Yeah.
really was hoping he'd win.
Better
Well-
than taking a hammer and sickle, but whatever.
No, that's Gavin's gig.
No,
Yeah, I know.
my prediction for California is eventually it will just run out of money and be put into receivership, and then some sort of adult will be
Then all
assigned
of
to
us get
basically
to pay for
fix everything.
Yay!
Yeah.
You're
no,
welcome.
California has to get bailed out. That's the
You know,
that's the thing.
I have a suggestion, Harry.
Yeah. Is this as good as the time you told me to catch the rat and put it in my dryer to kill it? Because your suggestions always involve me doing something impossible before I can do the thing that you tell me to do.
Oh,
Did we lose Jenna? Oh,
I think she's actually muted.
she may have unplugged her mic accidentally. There she is.
Me?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your suggestion?
Jenna?
Jet.
I
The
think
dryer would have killed it.
yes, I understand.
Well,
but,
no, I think you should run.
Oh yeah, totally. I was
So
basically
where
Not
should he
on
run to?
feet, but as
Texas?
well as a kid, I was basically
Yes.
groomed for something like that, and decided at an early age that that was not the life for me.
No, I'm not muted.
No, you're fine.
Nope. Sorry. I was having internet issues.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
You
But yeah,
run for
it shouldn't
office.
surprise anybody that that the
Not
election
putting a
went the way
rat
it
in the
did.
dryer.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to come out and come back.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm standing by.
And I've been Nigel
for you.
free for months now, so I'm feeling
If
pretty
it
good
worked
about
with
that.
Nigel, what about putting Gavin Newsom in a dryer?
Well, actually, the sad thing is that I think probably the best content I ever produced on YouTube was just pictures of that rat on video. I mean, I can't compete with animals, with Sora going, "Oh, look, he's so cute." It's like,
Yep.
God damn it, Sora.
Yeah.
Somewhere in any scenario, there's a Ratatouille episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was the thing about the election is it was sort of a foregone conclusion, and it's one of those things where, in hindsight, of course, you go, well, of course that's the way it turns out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there was a lot of commentary in the press about Larry Elder is leading, and he was leading all the other would-be governors if the recall had gone through. But the recall, even the polls were not even close. The polls did not indicate that the recall was going to be successful.
Well, let me. Oh well, Jenna will be back.
Yeah, she'll be back in just a
She
minute.
said she was going to drop and come back.
Let me see if
That's
I
right, I
can
forgot.
bring something up for you to take a look at, because I frequently try to tell people who think they know what California's like. Oh, it's just a bunch of communists and hello.
You're presenting. I can.
Oh, it was weird because everybody disappeared.
Yeah, no.
And all the other icons disappeared.
No, I just didn't big into you. That's all.
Yeah, something else happened too, but we won't worry about breaking the fourth wall here.
Oh boy, Nigel appeared.
No, damn it.
No, it's our job to say, damn it. We were enjoying the Nigel cam.
The Nigel cam I'm telling you, that was easily my best content.
Yeah,
I can't compete with that.
Yeah, and you didn't pay him royalties or anything.
No, he worked for literally scraps.
And then got an honest burial.
Okay, let's go here. Okay, so this is basically a look at it sort of on a county by county basis. And if you look at this, you see that there's 2 Californias here. The heck just happened.
Hold
Okay.
on.
Very much.
All right, so there are 2 Californias here. So there is this big red part that
Can you
thinks
hear me
Gavin Newsom
now?
is dreamy.
Yes, we
There we
can.
go.
So, for instance, you can look at Marin County, 84.9% to keep Gavin Newsom. I know.
Jesus
what a surprise.
Christ.
Sonoma, 78.4. Mendocino, 70. Right? And then you compare it with some of the less populated counties, like Lassen County, which is 82.9% get rid of Newsom.
Yeah.
This is an extremely polarized state.
Yeah.
And everybody assumes that the green part is just like the red part, and it's not. Now, the green parts here, a lot of these states got absolutely screwed by Newsom's COVID policies.
Yeah.
So you had these sparsely populated counties with almost no people, let alone no people with COVID, and he was locking them down just like every place else.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need to go cut down trees and do things. We've got shit to do. We can't just stay home. No, you got to flatten the curve. And so that's why places like Lassen, who are just like, what the hell are you doing? This approach doesn't suit us. No. Nobody can get unlocked until 80% of the Latinx are vaccinated, or whatever it was on any given day. So he has gone out of his way to piss off a bunch of people, a lot. But they're all in these sparsely populated counties.
No, it's
all
the
the
people-
population centers are just like, oh yeah, we like what just happened. Santa Cruz
Well,
County, let's
Well,
have
those are the
80%.
people. Those are the people for whom the elites have nothing but contempt to begin with.
Yeah, and Silicon Valley is 78.1% to keep Newsom. So they are totally on board with Newsom. Let's see, what's San Francisco? 87.8% in favor of Newsom.
Surprises me that there's even 12.3% of the population who, wants him removed.
That almost 2.75 million people.
Yeah. But all these agricultural counties like Kern County, Tulare, Mariposa, Madera, Tuolumne, El Dorado, just all these Plumas, Lassen, Butte, Tehama.
Hey,
all of that stuff is like, get that guy out of here.
How do you say Tulare County? Is that how you say it?
I don't know. I heard it said multiple ways.
The ship is referred to as the USS Tulare.
Okay, it could be Tulare.
Like, take a memo, Tulare.
Well, I do have weird pronunciations for things. I mean, what was
no, I wasn't
mercantilism? We spent 30 minutes arguing about that one time.
No, I've just always wanted to know. Seriously, because we used to tie up next to the Tulare every once in a while, and I just was curious. I
don't know. Maybe it's like Volare, like the song.
I always got the feeling that those guys actually did not correctly pronounce the name of their ship. Tulare, really? That there's nothing about that name that makes me think that that's pronounced that way. So anyway, it's a mystery my whole life, and you popped out the word, and I thought, maybe Harry knows. Harry knows everything.
Harry doesn't know about this sort of stuff. Now, my friend Steve, who was on that book stream with us, he knows all these things.
he would be the man to talk to.
He is the man to talk to, because I think I told you there was this essentially gambling machine when I play pool that was a trivia machine. And I used to go in there and just milk that thing for dollar coins. Because whoever programmed it was a big fan of Top Gear, Doctor Who, and there were a bunch of questions about state capitals and county seats and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I'd say, Steve, get over here. And he could answer all the questions I couldn't answer. So I just pull $20 a night out of that thing. And then just buy people drinks. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good to have friends who know this kind of stuff, because you never know.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's the pathetic state of California. Thanks for indulging me.
That line of green is a line of counties that are routinely screwed over by Sacramento.
Yep.
There are also counties that actually produce some shit.
Yes, there are, particularly in the
kind of remarkable. It's when you look at the red-blue map of the United States, you see all the places that produce things and all the places that consume things.
Boy, you're not wrong.
And that is an imbalance that is very telling about both parties. Very, very telling. Because trust me, the GOP doesn't give any more of a shit about those people than the DNC does.
Oh, you might be surprised.
Well, some members
I can
of
tell
the
you
GOP do. I will give them that. And
I can tell you the California GOP actually does care about these people.
Well, yeah, the California GOP, that's their only... a lot of the California GOP is of those people.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's only where that is the instance where you see that kind of care. And I mean the leadership of the GOP. The leadership of the GOP is as insular and as stale and as elitist and as unpleasant as many in the DNC. They just suck a little less. I mean, I really don't turn to Mitch McConnell for compassion for the little folk. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think people like Trey Gowdy gave a shit. I know Tim Scott gives a shit. There are people that do. But and I live in a state that is just full of corporate Republicans. Virginia Republicans are just...
I love Trey Gowdy.
Most Virginia Republicans are kind of on the loathsome scale of late.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be some that were like solidly Danville instead of Fairfax County.
I can't figure out if McCarthy from California is good, bad, or
sincere or a
otherwise.
twat. Yeah.
Yeah, I
He-
mean, I can't get a read on the guy. I don't really know enough about him, but it does seem like at the national level, he's one of the saner people in Washington, bringing some level of not terrible to the government.
Some level of it, yeah.
Yeah,
Now, see, I think Rand Paul might actually give a rat's ass.
but
You
who
know.
was that piece of shit that ran the impeachment hearings?
Oh,
Schiff.
yeah. That Democrat. Yes,
Can
that,
I
Yeah,
interrupt
he's
to
also
find out
from
if you can
California,
hear
so
me?
we're sorry.
yeah. He's man. That guy. In Webster's, look up
That would be
scumfuck.
no.
His picture will be there.
We
I'm
can hear
sorry,
you, Jenna.
Jenna. Yeah, we can hear you.
Say something.
No, we could hear you.
Okay. It was fleeting. Okay.
But what's the coming to go, eh?
What's
You
the
know?
coming to go?
But I mean, I hate to be that cynical about the GOP, and I know there are plenty of grassroots people, and I'm really not.
I was just fighting with it to try to get it back. I just did.
Well, there you are. Just don't touch anything now.
Oh, mother.
You're
Fudge.
live and on air, dear.
Yeah. It's working. Or it was. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know what to do about all of this sort of stuff. I mean, politics is a nasty game. I mean, why would anybody want to be a politician?
Hell if I know. I mean, Larry Elder looked like it was distasteful to him to lower himself to run in some ways, and I'm
You can
sure
hear
it
him.
is.
I can
Yes.
stop hitting buttons.
Yes.
Yeah,
we
don't
can
touch
hear you.
anything now. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know what would motivate somebody to want to do that.
Yeah, I can't imagine because it's ruinous to your life. I read that right before W ran, Jenna, was the one that went to them and said,
Want to do what?
not you, Jenna Bush,
Mm-hmm.
was the one that said, please, Daddy, don't run for president. It's just going to wreck all our lives. And he said, your mom and I have things we have to do, honey.
Mm-hmm.
They're things that adults have to make
I
choices.
know you're talking Jenna Bush.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I have spent a little bit of time in Washington, D.C., and I've met more than a few bureaucrats from D.C. I mean, essentially, we've got like this technical class that does all of the administrative BS there. And I can see why a certain type of person might want to do that. The idea of becoming a GS-13 and living in Georgetown sounds pretty appealing to most people. But at the same time, to become a Congress beast, that is normally not such a great gig if you're honest. Because when you look at how much it costs to maintain 2 residences, people go on about how much money AOC makes because she makes $175,000 a year. I know that sounds like a lot. It's not
to maintain 2 places to live because you've got to live in your district.
You've got to live in your district. You've got to live in D.C. She's
Yep.
getting a lot of shit just given to her.
Well, if somebody would come up with the idea of a dormitory for these guys,
Mm-hmm.
it might be a great idea. They weren't supposed to live in D.C. This is the problem. We were not supposed to have a permanent political class parked in the District of Columbia.
Didn't Mr. Jefferson say something about that?
Yeah.
And Mr. Madison was very adamant.
They kind of picked a swamp for a reason. And
Because she gave herself a raise.
unfortunately, Mr. Carrier ruined that for everybody.
You mean the air
Yeah.
conditioning guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how often, whenever they've come to some kind of standstill and they're going to shut down the government, Cree has looked at me and he said, I keep saying, turn off the lights, turn off the damned air conditioning. They'll come to a fucking agreement. He said, don't let them out of the building. They'll get tired of each other's smell and they'll hammer something out. But as it is, a lot of their costs are paid for in Perquisite, Harry. That's the other thing. That's, the unlimited postage, which means they get to perpetually campaign. All the hoopla that they get. They get all these carve-outs and exceptions from laws that apply to the people. That is wrong. It is fundamentally wrong. And that rot, once it was allowed into the structure, has only encouraged the permanent political class.
Well, Newsom has so much money from this thing that he now has $24 million that he didn't spend on the recall that he's going to be able to use for his re-election campaign.
Well, he didn't have to spend it because every goddamn special interest group proxied for him.
I have a question about that, Harry.
I'm not an expert, but I'll do my best.
Harry's not an expert, but he plays one on TV.
He took a Holiday Inn last night.
Yeah. So if the funds were raised under in a legal environment whereby the normal strictures for campaign fundraising were not enforced, in other words, anybody could give as much as anybody wanted to.
I see where you're going. Okay.
Yeah. It seems like commingling those with the campaign funds that were raised under the legal strictures would be prohibited.
Okay. I can answer this question. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this.
Okay.
You know how in the tax code, when they pull out a bunch of natural gas or oil from a well, and then they decide what year's dollar value they're going to use for the stuff that got pulled out.
I know exactly how that works.
You know, like the rules for
yeah.
depletion. It's essentially like that. So what he's doing is he's using all of the high dollar value contributions to cover his current expenses. And then he's taking
so that his other
value.
stuff will have conformed to the
exactly
strictures and therefore will be eligible to be commingled.
Here's the relevant
Newsom?
line from the story.
Yes.
The campaign says that they received over 600,000 small dollar donations, which they define as less than $100, and that 90% of those were from California. All donors that he can reactivate as he heads into his re-election campaign.
Zounds.
Yeah.
Why would anyone give that asshole a penny?
Because they were scared of Larry Elder because he was a boogeyman. You don't want to let the Republicans win because Trump.
Yeah, the black face of white supremacy right there.
Yeah, and Larry Elder's to the right of Trump, supposedly.
Oh,
whatever
wait.
the hell that
Right.
means.
Yeah.
Gavin knew some things about people, and they didn't want them revealed.
Yeah, this whole thing with the French Laundry is going to come back to bite him. Here's the thing that I don't understand about this election, is people were mailing in ballots for weeks, and it was only the day before the election
Larry.
that Rose McGowan was coming out with her supposed news. And a lot of stuff happened right at the last minute. It's like, are you running this campaign as if people are just going to show up at the polls tomorrow and vote? Or have you lost track of the fact that the campaign started 3 weeks ago and anything you do now is probably too late? Why are you running your campaign this way? I think Elder's people and the people who supported Elder were largely incompetent in terms of how they ran this campaign.
They sound like... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask how much the California GOP had to do with that.
Well, the California GOP is a constant source of sadness because it used to be that there were these bastions like Orange County.
But
the California GOP has just stopped trying. They just aren't even making an effort because they figure there's nothing that can be gained. Their heart was just not in it. And realistically, being able to recall the governor with 2 million signatures doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in a state with this many registered voters.
Or are the Republicans just going to leave California, or are they going to get their people out first?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I was going to make
Just
an Afghanistan joke, but yeah, no, they're moving. They're moving to Texas.
Yeah.
They're moving to Texas and pretty much every place else. And the trouble is, California is a really great state.
It really is.
We provide a lot of the U.S.'s income, a lot of the intellectual capital, and a lot of the food. And you would be really sad if we were gone. I know it doesn't seem like that, but it's true.
1/5 of the agricultural produce in the United States comes from California. Think about that. One state provides 20% of everything we eat. Jesus.
That was our first mistake,
Yeah.
creating that kind of imbalance. Now, granted, climate-wise and terrain and all that kind of thing benefits California dramatically in its year-round production, that kind of deal that you don't have in other parts of the country, save certain parts of Texas and Florida. And even then,
Texas isn't as versatile as California is.
oh no, and I mean
Nowhere near.
Florida's versatile, but its seasons are extreme like Texas.
Yeah.
So that hampers production. So unfortunately, we need California, and California knows it.
And we need to fix California.
Yeah.
But it's going to have to get a lot worse before it gets better, I'm afraid.
That's what I'm concerned about, is that essentially what we're headed for is a currency crash. And we really are headed for a currency crash. This is going to happen. When that happens, when we finally suck it up and do a 100-for-1 split, in other words, $100 becomes worth $1. Okay, and we have to rationalize our currency. You'll see that in the next 20 years. What?
Yeah.
How will we form the capital that it will take to repair the damage to giant agricultural plant, a very capital intensive producing places like California, and Texas is not going to come out of this unscathed. The Midwestern part of the United States, the Nebraska, Iowa, all the corn belt through Kansas, corn wheat belt is going to get nailed. It's going to make the Dust Bowl look like a tea party. You wait till the currency, you wait till you can't buy stuff with dollars anymore. That's going to happen. These assholes, and California and New York have just been completely irresponsible with their state budgets as well.
Yep.
I remember when Mario Cuomo was governor of New York, and he was doing long-term borrowing to pay short-term interest on his debt. Things have only gotten worse since then.
Yep.
The currency will not stand up to this forever, and the way that the politicians play this is none of them really seem to be in this for the long term.
They're not going to be around when the shit hits the fan, so they don't care.
It is. It's like that game where there's one too many people for the number of chairs, and when the music stops, somebody doesn't get to sit down. This is insane. What's going on? I can't believe that there aren't any adults in charge. The adults seem to be in a minority, and I guess this is what happens. What I'm afraid of is that we are in an irreversible decline. And then what will end up happening is we'll either we'll have to have face off with people militarily. We may not have the ability to defend ourselves even against an inquisitive China who might like the western half of the United States as a colony.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think that is going to happen. I think you'll see that in 100 years.
I don't think you can do that to a nuclear power. China will never take over the U.S., at least geographically, unless we just literally completely collapse and we welcome them as they bring in bags of noodles. You know?
We absolutely will, and you'll see us give up all our weapons and say, yes, we're going to work with you. We believe in the one world vision. That's the way the Democrats think. It's not that there won't be nuclear weapons. It's that we won't use them, and we'll think that they are being sincere and think we're doing a good thing, and then we'll be appalled and astonished as we are now with the Taliban. The Taliban is hurting people. Who knew? You know, giving up Bagram was a bad idea. Who knew?
Yeah, we're going to give them, the Taliban, a stern talking to. Speaking of which, I don't know if you want another topic.
Sure, I know it. Go ahead.
As you well know, I mean, you know more about this than I do by a long shot, but as I understand it, the Taliban and the Shia Iranians, not exactly good friends.
Fair. Fair point.
And so now we have Afghanistan full of Taliban who are better armed than they could have ever hoped to be.
Yes.
And at a certain point, when things don't go particularly well, that's the perfect time to start a war. Because if you look back historically, people say, oh, well, China's on the ropes. That means they won't be invading Taiwan. It's like, you're an idiot. That's exactly the opposite of the way things work.
Right.
If you go back to, say, the Falklands conflict, the Argentinians were not doing particularly well, and it was like a Hail Mary that they did to try to reinforce their failing political position, because things were not going well on any front. Start a war. That'll get people excited. And so you ended up with this extremely limited sort of conflict, where there wasn't really much likelihood that the civilian populations were going to get hit. Perfect. This was a perfect thing for them. I think if things go poorly for the Taliban, which they probably will because they got massively brain drained, and once we get our people out, there won't be a whole lot of incentive to give them money to do anything. I think there's going to be a certain amount of foreign aid that's going to be paid in the form of ransom. I know. Well, what a startling realization that is. I don't pretend that that's like something that everybody else hasn't thought of. But how do you think this is going to play out with the armed Taliban in Afghanistan and the Iranians just being so close by?
Yeah. Okay.
I see this going back because there were conflicts that was back in the 80s, I believe, where they killed like a bunch of political people, the Sunni political people Shia political people in Iran. And it was only at the last minute that one of the Ayatollahs decided, no, we're not going to basically go to war in Afghanistan over this. But I could easily see the Iranians getting dragged into an Afghan war, which would be hilarious because it always goes so well whenever anybody invades Afghanistan.
You got a couple of major things going on that you need to account for, first of all. The Taliban is now sitting on 85 to 87 billion, depending on whose numbers you accept, dollars worth of hardware, and they're going to sell probably most of that, okay? Because they can't really use quite a bit of it, but they can sure as shit sell it, and it will get sold, and some of that is going to get sold to Iran. Iran is very interested in going shopping with the Taliban. So there's going to be a period, at least, and I don't know how long it's going to last, where the fellows are going to be doing business together. Afghanistan is going to become a giant arms bazaar for every bad actor on earth, and the Iranians are going to have both feet in the trough and ears back. So that's one thing to think about. Secondly, the conflict between Sunni and Shia sects of Islam is something that always kind of simmers below the surface, but doesn't usually bubble over absent other political pressures for them to get after each other. And I think over time, one of the good things is that Iran is going to get more and more liberal, and they're going to become more and more dove-like with respect to, at least with in the region. They will never compromise on Israel, I don't believe. They always, and they are focused against Israel right now, just about to the point of distraction. So I don't see Iran attacking Afghanistan as having a good reason for doing it. And there's something else to pay attention to also, and that is that the eastern part of Afghanistan and the northwestern part of Pakistan are essentially one country. We'll call it the country of Pashto because those are the people who live there. It's a very mountainous area. It's easy to get back and forth across the border there. And they are going to be armed to the teeth, and they're extremely capable of defending that area. Anybody who comes in to attack them is going to be in for a very tough time. And the Iranians understand this. I think the biggest threat probably from Iran is going to be against Israel. Israel will continue to be completely intransigent, as they should be, on the Palestinian question, because they've given the Palestinians, the quote unquote Palestinians, the Fakistinians, the Jordanian Arabs who live in the area that they now call Palestine, they are not going to move on it. They've given them 6-7 opportunities for peace. They've given them land. They've they set them up to succeed, and that group of people has said no. From the river to the sea, Palestine is going to be free. And what that means is all the Jews leave or are killed. Yeah, and that's the way. All these BDS folks, all these virtue signaling assholes who talk about how brutal Israel is, that is essentially all made up crap. All of it. 100%.
Well,
okay.
I was going to say, in Israel, there are a lot of Islam that live perfectly fine and free. And
well, that's right. In Israel, Israel is actually the best place in the Middle East to be an Arab right now. You get full citizenship rights. You can be in the army. You can be in the Knesset. You can have a hand in government. You can be an entrepreneur. You have freedom of speech. I mean, it's a great gig. There is no other Arab country where an Arab is as free as they are in Israel, and that's another thing that the Fakistinians cannot stand, and the Iranians can't stand it either, because they are with all this freedom stuff and all this success and all this enjoyment of all the good things that they've earned from this capitalistic miracle in the desert that is called Israel. All the things that produce really cast the chronic poverty of the Islamic states and the oppression and all the other crap in a very bad light. And that's the real reason why they want to get rid of Israel, essentially, is because Israel is a big example of how good life can be without the strictures and hierarchical cultural and political structure of Islam. Yes. So I think for that reason, Iran will continue to be directed, be looking at Israel as far as hostility. Afghanistan is going to be a very, very tough place to attack. The thing that you might see in Afghanistan is Afghanistan basically break into two countries. The Pashto area up in the mountains in the southeastern part of Afghanistan, the northwestern part of Pakistan, and the rest of Afghanistan, and that's going to be just an area of extreme instability for a very long time.
I'm not sure.
Rant over.
No, that answers the question. Yeah, I just think it'd be hilarious if Iran decided to basically got attacked by the Taliban and then decided to go marching into Afghanistan.
Yeah, the Pakistan.
I would just be like, oh, I would just love to get a big bowl of popcorn and watch that happen.
Yeah,
They all wouldn't fight on Friday.
Well, they're smart enough to. That's the other thing is they the Iranians know that Afghanistan is where armies go to die.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
they've watched it for the last 50 years.
Well, yeah, really, the last 700 years, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this was mentioned, but Pakistan, it's really the way that Afghanistan and stuff get to live. Think about the fact that they hid Osama bin Laden and then was like, screw you, you can't attack us. And the money they file, never mind.
But at any rate, it's a very murky future. There's a lot of uncertainty. In point of fact, I can't really tell you what's going to happen. Those are just some things I know about that concern me.
I do have one question in regard to that, which is China's role, because China has become Afghanistan's new best friend because medals, and anything they can rape out of Afghanistan, they're going to do so. They really are trying to make deals. Of course, the Afghans are not going to win in those deals, but they may be naive enough to think they can.
Yeah.
Because of Islamo-supremacist points of view being what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And they could give a shit about the Uyghurs. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, really.
But with Pakistan has got to be watching China.
By the way, the Uyghurs are considered to be apostates by the Taliban.
By the Taliban. They don't care about them. They're kufr to them now. So
it's essentially. They're actually worse than kafar. Yeah, they are apostate. Their lives are forfeit as far as most of these mullahs and the Taliban.
Yeah, so if the Chinese did them in, the Afghans,
they're
the
down with
Taliban
that.
would applaud. But the thing that Pakistan is not stupid, and they've got to know that China presents a threat to them, particularly the way China is buying up control of ports and worldwide shipping and all kinds of fascinating little things like that.
China reminds me of the bear on the old Walt Disney nature films.
Yeah.
Old Bear thought it'd be a good idea to stick his hand in the hive and get some of that delicious honey out. But soon that buzzing told him that he had a little bit of a problem. Well, China is the bear and Afghanistan is the hive, because those guys want to mine the rare earth metals.
Yeah.
The rare earth metals.
Lithium.
Yes,
and lithium. And those mines are up in the northern part of Afghanistan. To get them to China, they have to, they have a couple of options and none of them are good. They have to get that stuff through very, very tough territory.
Yep.
territory without roads, or in the case of the Khyber Pass, territory with only one road.
Yeah, it's going to be like you're not going to. Welcome to the Hindu
Well,
Kush.
I paid the warlord on the last hill.
Yeah.
That's his territory. You got to pay us now.
Oh shit, you know.
Yeah, or we'll kill all your people.
Yeah, it's
Or hold them hostage and make them
Yeah,
slaves.
nobody wants to go through the Kush, and that's kind of their choice. That or Tajikistan, which is like might as well be part of the Hindu Kush, as far as the terrain just gets worse the farther east you go.
Just getting it out of Afghanistan is going to be painful. It's landlocked. It's a real pain in the ass, and no, you cannot fly.
You can't fly.
You can't fly or out of anywhere economically.
Profitably, no.
You have to haul it out by train, basically, or truck.
Yeah, well, good luck.
Well, the other problem is Pakistan is Afghanistan's daddy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're not going to like someone moving in on their
Well, that was kind of my point, that China and Pakistan.
Well, Pakistan is also bifurcated. Only half of Pakistan, only the northern part, likes Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And they only like the southern part of Afghanistan. The rest of Pakistan thinks that the northern part of Pakistan is full of hicks and rubes and, backwater people who believe in superstitions, and that they'd be better off without them. Pakistan has got some very interesting sociological problems too.
Yeah.
There's nothing good going on in that part of the world right now.
Of course not.
And
we just keep pallets of cash lying around for those idiots.
I just can't wait to see what China does. I think
India might be sitting by laughing because China's got a problem on its hands.
Yeah.
It wants that shit out of Afghanistan, and it can't be doing 8 things at once because it does not have the resources.
That's right.
And it's busy trying to provoke the West with veiled threats at Taiwan.
Oh, yeah.
Never start a 2-front war, so to speak.
What currency does China borrow in? Answer: dollars.
Yeah, and so as far as the problem is, the wrong administration is in power for the kind of leveraging that could be done here, because you could be leveraging China pretty hard on on sharing that lithium with the West via a proxy party in Europe or something like that. And Russia's going to have their eye on it because all their former stands litter the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And they watch their southern border.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've got a problem. They've had the problem erupt in Chechnya.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want that problem spilling over from Shitstan or Turdstan or Junkstan or any of the other.
Kyrgyzstan. I can never say it.
Kyrgyzstan.
Well, there's Kyrgyzstan, then there's the other one that starts
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan, yeah. And Tajikistan all have become more Muslim since the fall of the Soviet Union.
Well, that was guaranteed.
Well, there's also the fact, too, that Russia realistically doesn't have many resources that it needs, whereas like somebody like Afghanistan, they have all those mineral deposits.
Well, the other thing is that
Russia's
trying to do business with Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Because China and Russia are both in kind of competition for Iran. It's like, pay attention to me. Am I your new bestie? Because of some of the resource deals. Because they're locking in as being the natural gas supplier for Europe. You got to get that shit there somehow.
Yeah.
And turmoil in the region is the last thing they need. And the last thing they need is for China to try to muscle in on any of the action.
Yeah.
So it's as far as a interesting place to watch, which I would recommend we do. it would be nice to don't think you have to respond to everything that you see occur in the world.
Mhm.
That's my take on it. I know that it isn't the most popular take among neocons and neolibs.
Well, those guys never found a war they didn't love.
I know, and I mean the thing is that for Christ's sake, don't interrupt your enemy when they're destroying themselves, and they keep doing that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If that area were to break out in all kinds of little tribal conflicts and problems, it's to the benefit of the West because they're preoccupied in their own shitholes.
Yep.
I don't stop them. For God's sake, I understand that we would love to be able to save all of humanity. And I understand the human sacrifice that goes on, and I understand the misery that is in the world. But we can't even house our fucking homeless in this country, particularly our veterans. I really, I'm going to sound like I'm America first, but now might be a very good time for us to mind the home fires
Mhm.
before they turn into self-immolation.
Yeah.
I'm worried that the adventuresses, Susan Rice, and those types in this current administration are going to see some kind of shit start, and then they're going to start talking about the human element and won't someone please think of the children and that kind of thing,
Mhm.
and hurl us back into the theater when we've just got done in the worst possible way in that theater.
Yeah. And well, I will say, Prospero, as far as America First risk that you're saying, I'm like, as long as you don't pull a Gary Johnson and say what is Aleppo, you're probably okay.
Well, that's okay because the New York Times made 2 errors about the capital of Syria in the same, right after criticizing Gary Johnson for not recognizing the name Aleppo.
Mhm.
Unforced error on Johnson's part, but Jesus Christ, the journalismers who were trying to get he's a dope, couldn't get it right either.
Yeah.
2 times the New York Times misidentified the capital of Syria. 2 times. Now this is, that goes back to that particular election cycle, but it still amuses me. That popped up as one of my Facebook memories recently, and I just sat and smiled. Well, it's just like, well, Great Lady doesn't even know its geography. I would not want to be a power in the region. Russia, Iran, Pakistan, or China. With how uncertain things are right now. But if they're preoccupied with that shit, from the standpoint of the West, that should make us happy.
Mm-hmm.
If they're busy worrying about that shit, keep our eye on Iran and what they're plotting as far as Israel goes, and keep our ear to the ground for idiots that want to make merry in the West because they now have all these weapons with which to do so. And trust me, the Pakistanis are already salivating at that thought.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to be vigilant, but not go in. If we, hell, we couldn't even leave with our people.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a last resort scenario that we want.
Last resort. Jesus Christ, let them kill each other.
Yeah.
We don't have to be the police officers of the world.
It isn't just policing. We don't have to be the humanitarians of the world because we can't.
We need to worry about ourselves right now. With inflation, with $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there. Oh, let's just spend another $1 trillion.
Yeah, remember the old adage, charity begins at home?
Did you hear about the sex strike? Women are going to refuse to have sex because of the new law in Texas, or the
Yeah.
law being upheld in Texas, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And all these ladies that got on to say no more sex, they're the ugliest thing. So I was just thinking, lucky men.
It's like the blue noses who used to say, "Lips that touch liquor will never touch mine." It would
Deal.
Oh, holy Christ! That's enough to make you drink.
Yeah.
right there, guaranteed. Honey, don't worry.
Mean,
it's just, pinch face.
You want
blue
to go on a
noses.
sex strike? Do it, but
yeah, and I bet Midler threatening the world with that, and it's like, who wants to get in those dusty?
she's
precincts?
married.
Yeah.
So she's gonna reward her husband?
Yeah, because apparently he has something to do with the Texas legislature.
I'm on a sex strike, honey. That's fine, dear.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's why I said reward.
No kidding. Yeah, it was like, what a relief.
Yeah, I'm just going for a drive now, honey.
Yeah. Them chickens on Kauai are looking mighty good.
How come you're back so late?
Well,
the library was open late.
Not everyone shares your politics.
I couldn't find a store that had my favorite brand of cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years.
I just, especially with what we have in charge in way of command, I just really hope that we eschew all non-essential military engagements. Oh God, that sounds that's so Washington speak, but you know what I mean. Because you've got somebody who would rather apparently serve as a general in the Chi-Com army than in the United States Army.
Man, I'll tell you,
unbelievable. I mean,
finish this with Millie.
Unfucking believable. Michael Flynn has been dragged back and forth through the briar patch. He has had his finances ruined. People are still gunning for him.
Yeah.
And at no point in his fucking life did he call the Chinese and say, no worry, I'll circumvent the goddamn commander-in-chief because I'm on your team.
Well, yeah. Or
but Millie
Millie basically said that, look, if Trump starts getting crazy, I'll keep him from doing anything radical. You have my word on it.
That's treason.
Yeah, that is treason. That's literal treason.
And according to American Military News, he was telling people downstream in command to only take orders from him.
Oh yeah, if they got an order from the commander in chief, this is called circumventing the chain of command. If they got an order from the commander in chief, they were to run it by him first.
This is amazing. This is like he thought he was actually living the Caine Mutiny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he actually thought that Trump was just sitting in a room clacking ball bearings together and muttering about strawberries.
Yeah.
No, that's
those store bars.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just unfucking believable. Because, number one, there is a remedy. If you think somebody's out of their goddamn mind, and they're president of the United States, it's called the 25th Amendment.
Well, he's not in a position to do that. But what he should have done,
talk to the DOD.
No, he should have resigned.
Yes, he should have.
Millie should have resigned when he said, "I can't carry out this man's orders," and he wouldn't have to give up his generalship. He wouldn't have. He would simply be reassigned. But you can say, "I can't be chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff," or I can't be the chief of staff of this particular service because I cannot guarantee that I will carry out this man's orders, without hesitation.
But
in other words, guarantee my obedience. My obedience per the UCFJ.
But he was trying to play God.
No, he was trying to play politics is what he was doing, Jenna. He's a political general. He's a McClellan, a weaponized McClellan. Imagine if McClellan had hated Lincoln. This is the kind of scenario you're looking at.
Well,
this guy's a Quisling, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Marshal Pétain.
Yeah, he's a
Millie seems to be perfectly okay with pulling out of Afghanistan Joe's way.
Oh yeah, and lessons learned afterwards that the Afghan National Army wasn't ready. As Angry Cop said, any goddamn staff sergeant in the army could have told you that.
Yeah, I saw that video.
It's like nice to know that you guys have any fucking clue what's actually going on.
Do you know Afghanistan's technically not the longest war we've had?
No, the Korean War is.
Korean, thank you.
Yeah, because it's never ended.
But that's a technicality.
But also,
I mean, in point of fact, it's.
We have troops. We have a small number of troops in Germany and all these other countries.
We actually have a lot of troops in Germany.
Well, I know, but
for good reason.
People all over the world that they would. There's no reason that we could have kept a couple thousand in just to have the Afghanistan armies back.
No, we should have kept a small residual force,
Yeah.
and that'll be looked on as one of the most significant blunders in the history of military.
If the war college still exists, because they'll be
yeah.
politically incorrect, because after all, I think they're still teaching Stonewall's tactics, which makes them bad think people. This just in the great beyond, a large number of generals going all the way back to Sun Tzu all went, the fuck?
Yeah.
Including most of the people that we fought against in history.
I'd like to state that there are some generals out there who are still boots on the ground.
Yes.
Yes, there are most generals, really, but the very political froth at the top, who the guys who lurk around, guys like Millie, who has all this supposed combat time, but has managed to accrue 6 V-less Bronze Stars.
Yeah, never got shot at.
Yeah,
Never been shot at.
There's no V for Valor. Not in one of those engagements did he come close to a hot round. I am surprised. It almost makes me think he might be a fraud. But on that happy note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to end this evening. Did anybody have anything else that they just needed to get off their chest?
I'm good.
All right. Everybody else? We're going to sign it off here.
Storms and internet hate each other.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. R.I.P. Norm. Thanks, buddy, for all the laughs. We will remember you long after we forget the forgettable people we pilloried here tonight. Thank you, panel, for being a part of this. You guys are my friends. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. Thank you, chat, for being a part of this. You guys are my friends too, and I appreciate you spending a couple of hours with us here at Minions of the Zoo. But for tonight, the zoo is closed. Good night, everybody.